Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're having a great day. What's on my mind today? I want to talk about debt. And not necessarily your own personal debt. I like to talk about the national debt. You know, when people get into too much debt, the natural thing for people to do is to try to get out of that debt. I think we've all been there before. We've all spent a little too much on our credit cards because the money's too easy to just put on your credit card. And two things usually happen when you acquire too much debt in your personal life. You try to pay that debt down, try to pay that debt off, be a better steward of your money afterwards, hopefully learn your lesson. I think we've all done things like that before, and not all of us learn our lesson from it. We pay down the debt, and then we just increase the debt back up again and start cranking up those credit cards again. Some people don't learn from their mistakes. The second option, which is the unfortunate option, is when you get into too much debt, is you file into bankruptcy, or you just simply don't pay the debts, and that's it. Here's the problem when you have a national debt. Our national debt is ballooning by the day. And you need to call it out for what it is. When Obama was president, I was furious at how much debt he had taken on. The national debt, I forget how much it increased, but it increased dramatically. But let's call it for what it is. Under President Trump, the national debt has increased even more than what Obama increased it by. And the problem is that we have a two-party system. Neither party wants to do anything about the debt. Currently, 55, depending on who you listen to, but the general consensus is between 55 to 60% of all the money our government spends currently is not there. There's 45% is being taken in by the federal government through different forms of taxation. But our government is spending so much money that it is short 55 to 60%. And that money is literally just being printed the money, going into further and further debt. It's basically like having a $50,000 income and living on living the lifestyle of a $110,000 lifestyle. Our government's been doing this for many years, and it just keeps increasing. And this is a huge concern and should be a huge concern for you guys, for every American citizen, especially every American taxpayer. So right now, I'm looking at the national debt clock. This is live, okay? Let's see what we got here. Currently, we are over $27 trillion in debt. $27 trillion in debt. So let's break this down. What that comes out to be is $81,000 for every human living in the United States. Children, adults, everybody. Per taxpayer, it's currently $216,000 per taxpayer. Does anybody think this could ever possibly get repaid? When you have both parties, although the Democrats are definitely bigger spenders, the Republicans aren't much better. You have a two-party system where neither party is willing to live within their means because of continual promises that they make to citizens to get votes and make perpetual promises and keep dishing out IOUs and IOUs and IOUs. $216,000 per taxpayer. Do you really think that this will ever get paid back? Our government is spending more than twice as much as it's bringing in. You could cut the size of government in half, and we would still be spending more than we're bringing in. And that cutting government by half is never going to happen within our political system that we currently have. It's never going to happen. We have both parties who are drunk on spending money. Spending money. So, $27 trillion in debt. Now, that's the official debt. Now, this will get you really scared. We have a lot of unfunded promises. Most of it Medicaid and Social Security. Promises that have been made to Americans. And these are unfunded liabilities. So that doesn't even actually get counted in the national debt. But these are promises that have been made to Americans. Now, before I go into the numbers on that, a little background on Social Security. When Social Security was initially began, and I believe it was in the 1930s under Roosevelt, the money that was taken from your paycheck, not voluntarily, as we all know, it's not voluntarily taken, it's confiscated from your paycheck. You don't have a choice whether you want to pay in or not, and thus receive Social Security or not. It's not a choice. They take it out of your paycheck. They take it. Those funds were supposed to be held in an account, not to be touched, so that the money was there when you retired. Do you know how much money is in the Social Security funds right now? Can you draw a big fat zero? Zero. There is no money. You know what's in the Social Security funds? A crap load of promises from the federal government. They promise to pay it back. Yeah. So, unfunded liabilities. Now, this isn't including the official national debt of over $27 trillion, and it's probably gone up 5 to 10 million since I started this video. Unfunded liabilities. Medicare, over $57 trillion. $57 trillion. So if people that are about my age or a little bit older, getting closer to retire, I hope you see your Social Security, because there's no money in it. And there's a $57 trillion IOU sitting in the Social Security fund right now. In the Medicare fund, I'm sorry. Social Security is $44 trillion. So it's a $44 trillion IOU in the Social Security fund. So right there, you have over $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. And there's other things too, but those are the two big ones. There's pension and healthcare liabilities. And then there's other liabilities, and those two add up to another $10 trillion. And this is current as I speak. So the total debt is really $138 trillion. $138 trillion. Anybody that's using their head, that's thinking for themselves, knows that this will never work. These numbers will never add up. And most Americans, including myself until about 10 years ago, never considered the possibility of the US dollar collapsing. You've all seen, I'm sure, in your history classes back in the day when you were kids, the Weimar Republic in Germany right after World War I, whose currency had become so valueless that people would take wheelbarrows of money just to buy a loaf of bread, because that's how it's a fiat currency. Our current currency, our paper currencies are known as fiat currencies. And it's literally printed paper. Now, in the United States, up until 1971, we were on what was known as the gold standard. And the gold standard, what that basically guaranteed is that you could take your US dollars and you were guaranteed a certain amount of gold. So the currency was literally backed up by gold. So it was literally tied to gold. It was a guarantee. You could bring in your, whatever it is, your $10,000 or whatever, and you were promised a certain amount of physical gold if you chose to. But in another rocket science move of our politicians, Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971 because he wanted to start cranking out money, printing money. Because when you're printing money that's not backed by gold, you can just keep printing it out. And since we are the world's reserve currency, that gives us a lot of things that we can do that a lot of other countries can't do. For example, cranking out money because people still want US dollars. But what happens when people no longer want US dollars? When the rest of the world says this is a Ponzi scheme. There's no way the United States can ever repay this type of debt. And what happens when that happens? Well, financial hell rains down on all of us, people. All of us. And many of us have not wanted to look that bull in the eye. But at some point, and it could be rather soon, that's what we're going to be facing in this country, is a meltdown of the financial system, because our dollar can't keep going like this. It is, at some point, the rest of the world is going to say, yeah, we're not taking US dollars anymore because these are worthless. Do yourself a favor and see what happens when a government just prints money. Do yourself a favor, just go to Google and Google $1 trillion banknote Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe currently is issuing $1 trillion banknotes that are worth literally a few US dollars right now, because they just decided they were going to print a bunch of worthless money and devalue their own currency so much that literally they had to start printing that's what they're using now, $1 trillion banknotes. And that just sounds like a joke, but that's what's going to happen in this country eventually, is that all this money printing that's been going on, it's what's giving us less buying power. It's basically inflation. In the 1920s, 8 cents would have bought you what a dollar buys you today. Okay, so basically you lost like over 90% of the actual value. What you could have bought for 8 cents in the 1920s will now cost you a dollar. And that's all because of inflation, because of all this money printing. And eventually it's going to hit this country. And I hope everybody starts to wake up to this reality. Now, where is a safe, what should you do with your money? You know, it depends on who you talk to. A lot of people talk about precious metals, maybe even some other fiat currencies around the world, the Japanese yen or the British pound, somewhere where they're just not in an insane land with printing money, although that's still no guarantee. You know, any fiat currency can collapse. But anyways, I just want to talk about that, guys, let you guys be aware of this. It could happen soon. I mean, nobody obviously knows for sure, but at some point, yeah, our currency is going to become pretty worthless, and it's going to be a really dark day, a really dark beginning when that happens financially, a financial reckoning for this country and probably for the rest of the world to some degree, because, you know, we are still the world's largest economy, and if we go to shit, the rest of the world's going to follow us down to a certain degree. So it'd be a worldwide financial meltdown, something like we've never seen before, something that we didn't even see in the Great Depression. Is, you know, I mean, it could be horrendous. So keep that in mind, guys. And I hope that made your day really, really cheery. Don't you just feel good right now? That's what I'm here for. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, smash the bell, all that stuff. I hope you like my videos. If you have any comments, please comment below. Keep it clean if possible. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.